Let's finish the top of our spring showers quilt. It's time to make the sashings that go in between each of the rows and along the sides of the top. I have 7 strips cut. They are cut to exactly 1.5 inches wide, and that's the width of fabric, so that is from selvage to selvage. They are longer than we need, so we need to measure the quilt left to right for the sashings that go between the rows. Once that's complete, we will measure from top to bottom to finish the sashings on the side of the quilt. Let's get started. It's time to do the sashings that connect each of the rows together. I will be doing the same way as I did the grass border strip. I need to make 5 sashings that are quilted. I will put all 5 into my 9x14 hoop, and then I will have 3 hoopings to quilt these long strips. The first 2 hoopings will use the 12-inch long border, and then the third will use the 7-inch border. Let's start by bringing in the 12-inch border. You can go to Merge Stitch File on the top toolbar. I'm just going to open the folder that I keep all of my files in, and I will go to the quilting bundle. I need the spring border 1, and I need the 1x12-inch design. I will drag and drop that into the hoop. Before I make 4 more copies, I'm going to make some changes to this design. The steps are the same as the other background quilting. The first step is the placement for the batting. Second is the tack down of the batting. Third is the placement of the fabric. The fourth is the tack down of the fabric, and then the quilting. I will be doing things a little bit different. First, I do have my batting cut to size, which is 1 inch wide. My strips of batting are longer than required, and we will cut those off at the end. Then my fabric is also cut to exactly the correct size, which is 1.5 inches. So over here on the right hand side, I'm going to delete some of the steps. These can also easily be skipped at the machine, or you can run all of the steps, whichever you're more comfortable with. But because I have my fabric cut to exactly the right size, this is a time where I will use the placement of the fabric. Normally that's a step that I've been skipping because our fabric's cut a little bit larger. But with the border strips, it's cut exactly the right size, and so I do need this step. I am going to delete the first 2 steps, which is the placement for the batting and the tack down of the batting. I will select the first, hold down my shift key and select the second step and hit delete on my keyboard. So now I'm left with the placement of the fabric, the tack down of the fabric, and the quilting. The reason I deleted the placement line for the batting is because I'm going to start with the placement of the fabric, and I will run that step, and then I will place the batting just in between that line with equal amounts on each side, and it just saves the step, but that again is completely optional. Now that I've made the changes to the quilting, I am going to make 4 more copies. I will move this design all the way to the left of the hoop. I am going to Command C on my Mac to copy and Command V to paste and drag that design over. You can also right click to copy and paste. I need to make 3 more, so I will Command V and make 3 more copies. And the last I will drag all the way to the right of the hoop. The design on the right needs to be to the right of the hoop. And again, I'm in a 9x14 inch hoop. The left will need to be to the left of the hoop. Now I will need to align these so that they're a little bit more even top to bottom, as well as between each strip. I need to select all of the designs so that I can line them up and space them evenly. There's a few ways to do this. You can draw a selection box around all of the designs. If you come to the right hand side and condense these steps down, which makes it a little bit easier, you can select the first, hold your shift key down and select the last. That will select all of the designs. Or on a Mac, a shortcut is to Command A on the keyboard, and that will select all of the designs on the screen. Now I will go to Utility and Align and Distribute. I will select the center V, which is center vertical, which is top to bottom. I will select Apply, and they will all align at the tops. Now I will go to Distribute, and I want to choose this spacing at the top of the toolbar and choose Apply, and that will put an equal amount of space between each strip. Now I will go to Utility and Color Sort, and it's been changed by 12 color changes. Down on the right you can see I started with 15 and now I'm down to just 3. Always select a new view just in case you need to make changes. This new view now shows just one design with 3 steps. Let's run the stitch simulator to see if that is what we need. It will start and do the placement line for the fabric for all 5 strips, then the tack down for all 5 strips, and then the quilting for all 5 strips, and that's just what I wanted. Another way to check the steps is to just select each step on the right hand side. The first step is the placement for the fabric, and it's done on all 5 strips. The second is the tack down, and then the third is the quilting. Now I need to save. I will go to File, Save Stitch File As, and name the design. I will save in my Combined Files folder, and then I will take it to my USB. I need 3 hoopings, and the first 2 hoopings will use this 12-inch design. The last hooping for the strips will need a 7-inch design. I will make it exactly the same way. I will remove the steps and color sort, and it will be exactly like this file, except for just a shorter design. I will select Embroidery and then go to my USB. I'll select the Combined Files folder, and I will choose the 12-inch strip with the 5 strips on the hoop. I will hit Set. Then I will change my hoop size in settings to the 9 by 14 and select Embroidery. I will move the design down to the bottom of the hoop to save on Stabilizer. I will run the placement line for the fabric, and I will spray my batting with some temporary spray and center it in the rectangles of the design. I will place the fabric between each of the rectangles and tape at the top and the bottom. Then I will run the tack down of the fabric, and then I will do the quilting. I will follow the same steps as I did with the grass strip. I will cut the strips apart. Then I will cut the muslin and the excess batting from the top and bottom of the strips. I will cut right along the placement line that was stitched, being careful not to cut my fabric strip. I will fold it back as I trim the batting and muslin. Then I will remove the basting stitches on each side of the strip and remove the excess muslin. This helps get the excess muslin out of the seams and there won't be as much bulk when I sew these strips together. There are several different ways to trim the muslin away from the seam allowance. Find the most comfortable way that works for you. I'll follow the same steps for the second of 3 hoopings. After running the next set of placement stitches and adding my batting, I'm going to fold back the quilted piece to line up the batting with the new batting. I will do this with all 5 strips and add tape to the top and bottom of the strips. Then I will run the tack down of the fabric and then the quilting. Make sure that the top of the piece that has already been quilted goes to the top of the hoop, and the excess that has not been quilted is towards the bottom of the hoop. Now that all 5 strips are done, it's time to sew the rows together. I will cut the end of the strip to 1/4 inch past the batting. I will press the strips using a little bit of best press. The clouds do have a right side, so I need to make sure I put them correctly when I sew them on the strip. When I was getting ready to sew the sashing to the grass border strip, I realized that I really should have trimmed away the excess muslin from the seam allowance. Since I had already sewed the grass strip to row 4, I decided to go ahead and leave it, but I decided that I wanted to trim the muslin on the lower half. sashings put between each of the rows. My top is almost complete. I just need to finish with the 2 side strips. I need to measure my quilt top from the top to the bottom. Mine is 32 inches. So for the side pieces that I'm going to quilt, I am going to do 3 hoopings, and I've decided I'm just going to use the 12-inch border design and hoop 3 times. I will have several inches over what I need for the sides, and I will just cut off what I need. Let's get started. In order to make the design with just 2 of the 12-inch designs for my side sashing pieces, I've gone back to my original 5 12-inch pieces that I brought in for the sashings between the rows. They are all the originals that are 5 separate designs. I just need to select 3, delete them by hitting delete on my keyboard, and now I have the 2 that I need for the 2 side pieces. I will be doing 3 hoopings with this same size. I will just go to Utility and Color Sort, go to New View. Now I have the 1 design with the 2 strips and 3 steps. I can take this to my machine and I'll do 3 hoopings. For the last strip of batting, I am going to measure the strip to 32 inches, which is the length I need my strip to be. I'm doing this so that I will have the batting exactly cut to size and the batting won't be in the seams. I've made a mark at 32 inches, which will be the length of my strip. Then I've marked a 1/4 inch less, which will be the end of the batting. Now I need to measure from the end of the last piece of batting to that inside mark, and that will give me the length of batting to fit exactly the size of my strip. And batting will not be in the seam.